I want you to put yourself in the shoes of the debt collection company, because they're like, hold on, we get paid when we collect on the debt. If everybody is getting all of their collections removed off their credit reports, there's no incentive for us to get our money. Hold on, wait a second. So we're just not going to let people get their collections removed off their credit reports just because we dropped the ball. Now we have our ducks in a row. This is the debt collection companies being more savvy. They're being more prepared to handle credit disputes. So now some of us were taught by credit gurus that when a debt collection comes after you, all you got to say is, this debt isn't mine, or I don't have a contract with you, so I don't need to pay you, right? Any sort of variation like that, not only is that wrong, but that's going to get you into even more trouble. So on today's video, I'm not only going to show you why that's a lie using a real life example. We're about to go into Better Business Bureau and I'm about to read this to you line by line. I'm also going to show you what you have to do instead, step by step, when dealing with a debt collection company, right? So let's jump into this. So what we're looking at right now is a recent complaint filed by a consumer who received a debt collection notice from a company called Kansas Counselors, Inc., otherwise known as KCI, right? KCI is the debt collector. Now, I'm assuming she was taught by somebody to go to the Better Business Bureau or to the CFPB and basically state, I'm not liable because this is not mine. I don't know who you are. I don't have a contract with you, right? And then KCI, the debt collection company, responded on the Better Business Bureau platform and basically shut all that down. I want you guys to see things from the source. This is from the horse's mouth, and we're going to learn exactly how to deal with a debt collection company when they first start to communicate with you. Because this is what's going to trip you up. 12/28/2023, right? This is when she went to the Better Business Bureau. She says, I'm not liable with this debt. I don't have a contract with KCI. They did not provide me with the original contract as requested. So that was her complaint on 12/28, right? Notice what their response was, 12/29, right? They didn't come back a week later. They didn't come back a month later. Boom, within 24 hours, they came back with receipts and they shut that thing down, right? Here's what they're saying. So they said, first, you are correct in your statement that you don't have a contract with KCI. KCI is a third-party debt collection agency that was contracted by your original creditor, MEP, right? So it looks like she had a medical bill that went into collections. And here's what I want you guys to pay attention to, right? Right here. Boom. KCI mailed you a dunning notice. Now, guys, I want you to pay attention to this. This is going to be the key word of the day. Dunning notice, or sometimes it's called the dunning letter. KCI mailed you a dunning notice for the above reference account on 3/10/23. The letter sent to your address was not returned via the U.S. Postal Service, and you did not exercise your rights within the time frame prescribed by law, right? They're basically telling you how the rules of engagement works when you're dealing with a debt collection company. So now one crucial aspect highlighted by KCI's response was the importance of responding to the initial dunning letter within the specified time frame. So what exactly is a dunning letter and why is it important? So the dunning letter is a formal notification sent by a debt collector to inform a consumer about an outstanding debt. It's going to detail things like the original creditor, your name, the original amount, and all of the steps that the consumer can take in disputing with this debt. So responding to this letter on time is critical because it initiates the formal dispute process and it preserves the consumer's right under law. So as you can see in the debt collector's response, they kept meticulous notes of when they reached out to her, the fact that she didn't keep track of the time, the fact that she didn't respond back in time. So unfortunately, the consequences of not responding to a dunning letter within the specified time frame can be significant as it limits the consumer's option for disputing the debt. And we're going to break that down in a second. Number one is the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, otherwise known as the FDCPA. And then you have the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the FCRA. These are the two key pieces of legislation that protects consumers' rights in the realm of debt collection. That's why I always bring up FCRA in all my videos, practically. I'm going to give it to you guys at the micro level. And then as always, I'm going to zoom back out and I'm going to make this thing very simple to understand. But I want to give you guys the key so that you can be aware of just how this game plays out. So under FDCPA, consumers have the right to dispute the validity of a debt within 30 days of receiving the initial communication from a debt collector. Again, we learned that it's called the dunning letter, right? 30 days. When you have that dunning letter, once you receive that thing in the mail that says you owe Joe Blow Debt Collection Company, at that point in time, the clock starts. That 30-day clock starts. What I want you guys to send out is something called a validation letter. And I'm going to give you guys a copy of mine for free. When you send out that validation letter within the 30 days, a couple things is going to happen. Number one is you're going to put the burden of proof back on the debt collection company, because you're basically going to raise your hand and say, hold on, who are you? Where are you from? Where is this debt from? Show me something in writing that I even owe you guys, right? While they're doing this process, they're not allowed to come after you, right? So they got to pause the debt collection process, and they can't report to the credit bureaus as well until they do this. We're basically putting the debt collection company on freeze until we can figure out, okay, what's the next strategic move? So now, in addition to the FDCPA, we have something called the FCRA, which is the Fair Credit Reporting Act. It details all the rules when we're dealing with the credit bureaus and we're sending our dispute letters and we're trying to get items removed off of our credit reports. The FCRA is the main guideline that breaks all the rules down. And it's going to provide consumers with the right to dispute inaccurate information on the credit reports. So now, according to FCRA, consumers have to file their disputes within 35 days of receiving notice of the debt inclusion on the credit report. This is why I always tell you guys, make sure you have some sort of credit monitoring. Make sure you're checking out annualcreditreport.com just to make sure if something pops up, you don't want to just not be aware of it, or you see something in the mail and you just throw it away. If something doesn't look right, you need to be on it. So failure to do so may result in the debt being considered valid by default. That's what I want you guys to avoid. And at that point, it's going to be more difficult for you to try to dispute this later on. Now, side note, I want you guys to remember the video I did, I think like 2 months ago. I did a video about a teenager who tried to apply for a job. He got tentatively approved, and then they removed his job position because something popped up on his credit profile. Because he's a minor, he should be able to raise his hand, send a letter over to the debt collection company and say, I'm a minor, and it will turn that contract from a voidable contract into a void contract, right? And he's no longer liable for that debt. But if he did nothing, if he just waited around, right, and he was 18, 19, 20, 21, and then he tried to deal with the debt collection company because he raised his hand after he was 18, they're basically going to look at him and say, tough luck. That debt belongs to you now. That's a valid debt. So that's just another example of what I mean when I say, when you see something pop up on your credit profile, don't wait days, don't wait weeks, don't wait months, don't wait years. Take action immediately, right? This is why we got to be proactive when we do videos like this. I'm showing you guys how to be proactive instead of being on the defensive all the time, right? This is what I told you before. If you don't raise your hand within those first 30 days, they're going to be able to basically say, well, it's a valid debt. And now they're going to be able to continue to report that collection to the credit bureaus every single month. And every time it gets reported, it's going to hurt your score. If you let too much time go by, there's nothing in the law in FCRA or FDCPA that obligates and makes the debt collection company have to validate the debt, right? So you got to hit them hard and you got to hit them early. This is KCI's website. And I wanted to go and show you where it says compliance. And I want to make this big. They're saying, because our industry has changed so dramatically over the past few years, Kansas Counselors, Inc. employs a full-time compliance officer on staff. That's big. While most other agencies are trying to catch up with the changes and proposals mandated by the CFPB, our Director of Compliance is busy shaping our company to prepare for the changes in the future. So now when we see YouTube videos and Facebook and IG videos about somebody showing you how to run the play, go to this credit union, go to this bank. It works for a while. And at some point, the banks and the credit unions, they start to change how they do their underwriting. They start to change what products they might advertise, right? We've seen this happen for years. What I want you guys to pay attention to is the debt collection companies. They're also doing that as well. So when you're on your Facebook group and you're reading, send out the dispute letters, send out this CFPB, go to Better Business Bureau, send out this letter over here, dispute. I got this removed off my credit reports. When you're seeing all these stories, I want you to put yourself in the shoes of the debt collection company, because they're like, hold on, we get paid when we collect on the debt. If everybody is getting all of their collections removed off their credit reports, there's no incentive for us to get our money. Hold on, wait a second. KCI is basically saying we got a compliance officer, because before, back in the day, a lot of these debt collection companies, their paperwork was so all over the place. They were sloppy. Sometimes they didn't respond on time. A lot of times we could use that for our advantage. We can send out a validation letter, not get something back in the mail, take that, send that over to the credit bureaus, and then get that stuff removed off our credit reports, right? Just because some of the debt collection companies were just slacking. They weren't operating the way they should be. KCI is telling people, wait a second, hold on. We're not going to be sloppy. We're not going to be sloppy. You're not going to catch us slipping. We got a compliance officer. And again, you can see here, all right, so somebody made a complaint January 3rd, 2024. KCI came back same day, boom. Somebody made an initial complaint 12/28. They came back the next day, 12/29. What's another one? Somebody made a complaint 12/29. They came back January 2nd. So basically they let the person have New Year's off, and then the next day, boom, they were right back at it. If you go down and you just look at the page, you can see that somebody, again, probably a compliance officer, is letting everybody know, now we got our stuff in order. We got our ducks in a row. So we're just not going to let people get their collections removed off the credit reports just because we dropped the ball. Now we have our ducks in a row. This is the debt collection companies being more savvy. They're being more prepared to handle credit disputes. This is why I have this channel, guys, because I want to show you why we got to be aware of this. We got to be aware of the laws. We got to be aware of the rules of the game. That way we can make wiser decisions and not have to worry about just doing whatever we see on Facebook. Because half the stuff that's on Facebook is just people just doing stuff randomly. They throw anything at the wall, whatever sticks. They call that a strategy, and they sell it to you for $29.99. So guys, to get the validation letter, which I want you to send, right? When they send you the Dunning letter, I want you to send out the validation letter. To get access to the validation letter, all you have to do is go into the description, download my cheat sheet guide. It's about like 14 pages, 15 pages of script examples, several of my favorite dispute letters. Inside there is going to be a validation letter where you can basically just highlight, copy, put it in your Word file, edit your information, and then send out to the creditor, right? I'm going to pin that in the comments down below. Download the cheat sheet, use the validation letter, keep it on file. Even if your credit profile is fine right now, download it anyway, because again, if something does pop up randomly, we know that happens. If something pops up randomly, you have the appropriate documentation to send out immediately to keep all of your options open, right? So hopefully, guys, you enjoyed this. Hopefully you got something out of it. If you did, make sure to like, sub, hit the bell notification, comment down below, right? Do all the above, and I'm gonna check you guys out in the next video. Have a good one. Peace.